Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. Today we've got part 2 of the roll cage build series and we're making quite a bit of progress. If you haven't seen the first part, I suggest you go back, take a look at that one, and then come back to this one because you're going to see the very beginning of how this cage is going to come to fruition. We're only about 30% of the way through the cage process, so we're going to continue watching Kyle put the cage together. So there really isn't much else to say, so let's go ahead and get into the video.
All right, so I was able to get those main hoop pads all formed up. This is the front pad. I got the rear one already formed and welded and kind of set in place. I'll show you that. So these are the rear pads. All welded up, just sitting in there right now. And then I got the main hoop trimmed and set where I want it. The purpose for these pads is there's a couple of reasons for these. Definitely don't want to weld this main hoop right to the car. This is a super thin sheet metal, and if you do roll over, that main hoop would probably just punch right through the floor. So this is 125 thou thick material, so pretty thick. Gives it a lot of strength, especially welding up the sides like this. Another reason for those is when I go to weld this whole thing together, for example on this joint, there's no way I'd be able to weld the top of this. So I'd be able to tack it like this, and then these I can pull them out, drop that whole cage down about 5 inches, and that'll give me enough room to weld the top. Then I can put these back in, throw the cage back up, and then finish weld these out. I got the passenger A-pillar bar all cut and trimmed up, so you'll see how it fits. I got this coped. It's just sitting here right now, but that cope looks really good. It's super tight, so we are gonna be able to weld it right here, and down this A-pillar bar as well. We'll be able to weld it. And then that front pad I showed you just a minute ago, that's this one. I don't have it trimmed up yet, it's just kind of roughed out. So that will kind of sit just like that for that A-pillar bar. Same idea, be able to drop that cage down just enough to weld up on the tops. All right, so we got the main hoop set. We got both A-pillar bars set where we want them. We got all 4 mounting boxes built, welded up. Those are set in place. So the next step, we're going to be building that upper front bar that'll attach both the A-pillar bars. So that's this bar. Just got 2 bends in it. I'll show you how it's going to fit up in there. This bar looks pretty simple. It is a little tricky. It's got these 2 copes connecting to the A-pillar bars going on at the same time. So you kind of have to get these perfect. There's really no room for error on these because I don't want to move that A-pillar bar. So you're basically trying to coat both of these at once, get them to fit just right while the angle of this is all right. So I did end up messing this one up. I got the cope on this side figured out, which is the passenger side, but then the bar just ended up being a little too short, which is fine. We'll remake that bar. But to come out of this, I guess a little trick. So since I already have this cope figured out, I was able to make this little mask. So I have this paper mask, basically just taped, wrapped around this thing a bunch, and then I can trim it out around that cope, put a little slit in it, and now I have a little mask for the next bar. So hopefully this will help me not scrap out another tube, so I don't mess up again. I'll show you kind of how this thing's gonna fit in the car. So those are the front boxes, trimmed up, welded, set in place. Got that driver bar trimmed up, also set in place. And this is what I mean by this is a little bit easier of a cope. This one I did with my tube notcher as well, but pretty much you're just doing one side. So this doesn't need to be exactly perfect because this can kind of compensate down here. So if you go, 1/8 inch too short, all right, well that bar just pulls in just 1/8 inch towards this bar, or this main hoop can suck in a little bit. But when you got 2 on each end, especially with a bend in there and trying to mate it up right here and right here, it's a little more tricky. went back and forth, kind of coping this tube to get it to fit just right. Just took my time. Yeah, you can see it's super tight right there. Super tight on that side. I got it fitting up against the roof. So yeah, now I'm gonna probably pull all these tubes out, clean up where they're gonna get welded, throw them all back in here, and then I'm gonna tack everything in place. That's the start of the main hoop and the A-pillar bars welded up. Got the bottoms of everything welded. I'm probably gonna start building the diagonal that goes through the harness bar and the dash bar. Get those set in place, maybe tacked in before I drop this whole cage down. That way when I go to weld all the tops of everything else, this thing's just a little more stable. It's not gonna pull around everywhere from welding. You can see already that when I welded the top of the passenger A-pillar, that A-pillar bar kind of wants to pull inboard towards the center of the car. See how it's a little bit off there? I mean, I can pull it back, but if I squeeze that dash bar in there, that'll push both those A-pillar bars out. Yeah, looking pretty good. Good progress. All right, like I said, we got the bottom of the cage welded. Gonna drop that down and weld the top soon. All these straight tubes that are left, since I had CAD files for all of these, I ended up just bringing these to work and laser cutting all of these. So these are a couple of gussets. We got the diagonal for the main hoop. We got the dash bar, the rear bars that go to the rear strut tower, and then we got the harness bar. So those are all coped, ready to go. I'm sure they're gonna need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of fine tuning, but hopefully that helps out a lot and that speeds things up. Got Pete here helping me today, so that's awesome. Pete's gonna start cleaning these up, grinding them down. I'm gonna drop the cage down right now, weld that, and then we're gonna start fabricating and putting the rest of those tubes in. All right, so Pete and I got those tubes cleaned up, got them kind of all roughed in. So we got the pads for the rear shock towers made, welded those in. Got the rear bars going down. Those are all fitting nice. We got the 4 gusset bars. So there's 1, 2, and then there's gonna be 2 more up here. Those fit really well. And then we also got the dash bar in. So we ended up, this is like the OEM steering support. So we ended up cutting that and getting that dash bar to run right through it. So we'll end up welding this and then probably throwing a gusset right here as well. So that's looking good. Right now I'm gonna weld as much as I can of all of this, and then we're gonna drop it down for the final time, weld the tops, throw the cage back up, and then we should be able to leave it up. Peter's gonna be working on gutting this hood. So just taking out a lot of the support structure in here. making really good progress here today. We got the top of the cage welded. So that's looking good. About to go up for the final time. We ended up cleaning up all these areas, grinding it down, and then putting some weld through paint on there. So just so it doesn't rust underneath, and we're still able to weld to that. And then we also painted the backside of all the plates. Again, you can weld through this paint, it's steel it, but it's just not gonna rust underneath there. Pete was able to get that hood all cut up. We'll probably clean this up, get rid of all that glue. What came out of there? How many pounds came out of there?
7 pounds.
7 pounds, so that's pretty good. Charlie's gonna bring the hood pins soon today, so we can start working on that as well. But yeah, get the cage up there, and then I can throw the dash bar in, the passenger door bar in, and start welding this thing in permanently. So, yes sir. Peter.
Hello.
Got that going?
Shorter?
Yes sir. Looks good.
Or right there?
Probably your second line there. Be good?
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pete's working on that little support. It's gonna go right there, and then we'll weld that dash bar all the way across right there. Got the cage up in there, got the rear bars welded in. We got that diagonal bar on the main hoop done. That joint was pretty fun. There's a lot of welds going on right there, but it's super strong joint. Welded all the way at the bottom.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop the video right here. We're probably about 60–70% of the way through the whole cage process here right now. Again, I wanted to initially put this roll cage build all into one video, but my suspicions were correct, and it's going to take about 3 episodes, just so you guys don't get bored to death watching one really long video. But we're gonna go ahead and finish up the cage next week, and that's gonna be pretty much it for the video today. So if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you wanna stay up to date with the new race car and this roll cage build, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down in the comments section down below. And if you would like to, please share the video because it does help out the channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay smooth. I'll see you guys in the next video.